Welcome back to the Creatively Challenged podcast for Monday, April 16th, 2018. I am one of your hosts, Danny Stewart. Sitting across from me is an enemy to the United States government, Mike Stuglis. Mike, how are you?
I'm great.
No longer an enemy to the United States government, but we'll just have to wait and see on that.
I do not want to tell that story.
Yeah, that's an off-the-show story, so if you want to know why Mike was an enemy, you can ask him yourself. But that was like a funny thing to see on Thursday morning. It
was just tedious.
Seems so innocent. Yeah, and then it turned into a big deal. That's all right.
Yeah, I'm good. I made it.
I got all cleaned up. You're not in Guantanamo.
No, they took the towel off my head.
Jesus Christ.
Talking about the waterboarding, of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Not the
not
the racist remark.
No. I could see the confusion.
Yeah. All right, let's just get into news.
Yeah.
All right, earlier this week, we're a podcast that does movie reviews and entertainment, but if you didn't know that, then now you do. But
yeah, it's episode 59.
Yeah, we've got 58 episodes before this one. But we're reviewing Isle of Dogs later, and we're sitting at a $34 card table. All right, did that cover all the bases? All right, let's get into the news. Zoe Saldana, Gamora in Guardians of the Galaxy and star of the Marvel Universe, has called out Hollywood elites earlier this week for some of them saying that doing a Marvel movie is selling out. And I thought that was pretty cool because, basically she said, how is this, selling out? Why is this not respectable? We're making a bunch of money and working for the Disney Corporation, but also making great films that have now culminated over the last 10 years.
It's being in a Marvel movie should be considered the pinnacle of an acting career because
Right.
It's the height of getting your name out and you're celebrated by fans, which is the point of being an actor and a star. And when you're that celebrated, that means you're doing your job correctly.
Right. And if you get to be a superhero, I think you're selling out if you're Sam Neill, Matt Damon, who just showed up in one scene of Thor Ragnarok and got a cut of all the money that movie made.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's selling out. Oh yeah, let me make a cameo in this movie.
Let me take advantage of the fact that it's going to do great at the box office.
But if you're a playing a superhero, I mean, look, it's changed Chris Pratt's career. I mean, before that and Zero Dark 30 and Jurassic World, he was just a fat guy on Parks and Rec.
Mm-hmm.
And Robert Downey Jr. is now one of the most lovable people in Hollywood because Iron Man's turned him around.
Well, look at what it did for Batista too.
Yeah.
If he had not done Drax, his Hollywood career would have been probably over in a few years.
And and Chris Evans, who already was in a bad Marvel movie, got redeemed as Captain America, and now he's up there in everybody's favorite superheroes. I mean, Captain America has the best solo films. So I don't know.
I think this is just an old idea in Hollywood because even Dustin Hoffman and other people have been movies today aren't movies. It's who are you to say?
Right.
Who are if the technology had existed in your time, you would not have been critiquing it.
Mm.
So it's definitely not selling out. I think it's the height of entertainment today.
No, I mean look at the Batman movies of the 90s. By the end of the 90s, George Clooney was being Batman. That's the most comparable thing it is because this is just a new thing, It's
Mm-hmm.
a new wave. Anybody can be a superhero, so they're giving those roles to people who want to do it and can represent the brand right. They're not just picking everybody to do it.
And you're seeing acclaimed actors take these roles.
Yeah.
You know, like before Robert Downey Jr. was Iron Man, he was an Oscar-nominated actor, and same with like Benedict Cumberbatch.
Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah, Samuel Jackson. You could just go down the list of people who have had careers before this.
Paul Rudd.
A little different. A lot of great comedies.
Yeah.
A little different. But yeah, I think it's definitely cool by Zoe Saldana.
To say that, because I feel like everybody feels that way. And if it's like, you know, it's like Steven Spielberg making another, like, oh, I'm the best person in Hollywood. I need to sit on top of this throne and comment on people below me, then I'm kind of pissed. Because that's what he did last week, talking about Netflix movies.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a shitty thing. So now, like, when I think of, like, shitty comments that just kind of go against the new wave, then it's got to be Steven Spielberg.
That's why I like Scorsese, because he's literally like, I'm doing a Netflix movie and future projects for Netflix.
Yeah.
It's cool. It's adapting to the new times instead of just being a hermit.
Right.
So, are we moving on from that?
Yeah.
So, other news this week was filming has been taking place for the Game of Thrones final season, and Game of Thrones just wrapped filming their largest battle yet, which took 55 days, almost 2 months. And to give it some perspective, Battle of the Bastards only took 35, and like up until now, that is the biggest battle that they've had. And this is nothing but great news.
Yeah.
This just means that they're gonna have dragon on dragon action, and it's gonna be nuts. And you know what I can't wait for is when this battle comes out, and there's gonna be the hipsters out there that go, "What? Why wasn't this happening in the early seasons?" And there's just gonna be those people who have been like, "Look at what Game of Thrones has become," instead of just basking in the glory of what this show is.
And Neil deGrasse Tyson saying that it's unrealistic when there are dragons flying around and ice people. But, like, this battle took longer to film than it did for Jesus to find himself in the desert. Jesus walked for 40 days and 40 nights in the desert, and they were filming this epic battle for 55 days. So
this is probably gonna be like a half hour long. This battle.
Yeah.
That's long.
Or it could be like a whole episode.
It could be. I wonder how long Watchers of the Wall took, because that was basically a whole episode too, but it was almost a continuous kind of with lulls in it as well.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. We'll see. If there's one thing about Game of Thrones you can say, it's unpredictable. Like, we don't know what's going to happen. So, just know that there is one battle that took 55 days to film, and it's probably going to be long, and it's most likely going to be a gigantic battle between people. And
I also wonder that if the battle is taking place in one of the storylines, and maybe this will span across a couple episodes or something. You never know. You never know with Thrones.
Right.
But this is awesome. And I can't wait to see all the people that die in the last season.
Because, like, where'd everybody leave off? Like, Jaime's going to help Cersei scheming, per usual.
Jon and Daenerys are together.
Mm-hmm.
The Night King has a dragon.
And Tormund was at the wall.
Yeah. So that's kind of where everyone's at.
God damn, that's a year away.
I wonder what's going to culminate the series, though, whether it's a battle with the dead or a battle between the living. I'm really curious.
I think it's going to be, like, the final battle. Like, if they're going to be, like, huge major deaths of, like, the main characters, it's probably going to happen in the last episode. I feel like they're going to get rid of the White Walkers in, like, the second to last episode, and then the last episode is where they kind of take care of, like, any of the main character deaths, unless they didn't do it beforehand.
Could be, like, a 3-way battle, too, which would be insane.
Yeah. Because, like, I don't know. Yeah, we don't know. Like, I mean, like we said, like, there's no happy ending to this story, so there's going to be some fucked up shit that happens, and we'll just have to be around to see it, because that's a year away, but Westworld is a week away.
Westworld is a week away.
Yeah, so we'll have that to hold ourselves over.
Yeah.
Until Game of Thrones concludes.
2019 is going to be nuts, because 2019 in television is going to have Stranger Things season 3, Game of Thrones final season, and Peaky Blinders is returning. It's a good year for TV.
And possibly It's Always Sunny comes back.
They're starting to film now.
Yeah, so either...
Or probably end of the year for It's Always Sunny.
We'll see, though. They usually kind of release around spring, though.
They do, well, yeah. It's kind of just been progressively getting later. Because it used to be I remember one year it was in December. Anyway.
Well, that's kind of breaking news for our podcast. Like, Caitlin Olsen said Glenn Howerton's definitely back, and then Glenn Howerton's like, well...
I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah,
I think he'll be a guest appearance in like 5 episodes or something. I don't know if he'll be in the whole season. I hope he's in the whole season, but I don't know.
I think he will be, and I think it'd be funny if they just like started the season off like in the bar
with him there.
And he's just there, and they don't even talk about it. That'd be kind of funny.
Okay, so in other news, James McAvoy, most known for Split and playing the young Charles Xavier, and Bill Hader, who's probably most known for Superbad.
And SNL, and he's in a new HBO show called Barry.
And both are in talks to star in It Chapter 2, and we've already talked about Jessica Chastain circling this project, and what we were talking about is Bill Hader being the comedian of the two, will probably play Richie, who was the funny kid in the first movie, and James McAvoy would probably play Bill.
Yeah,
I think this is a great casting. This would be fantastic.
I'm
more excited about the Bill Hader, honestly, even though I love James McAvoy.
In the It book, Richie grows up to be like a comedian who does voices, and that's literally what Bill Hader does in real life. He's a comedian who does voices. So like that'd be perfect casting for Richie. But for Bill, I think James McAvoy's kind of got that cool like leader kind of motive about him, and that's what he's done for the X-Men, and he can play that leading role. So this would just be really good casting. I mean, James McAvoy's great, Bill Hader's funny, and I think can capture the kind of the plate that Finn Wolfhard laid out for him. But that could also be tough too. Like, that could be a tough acting gig for both of them, you have to capitalize upon what greatness that kids already did. That'd probably be like the toughest role of your career, is like having to do what a kid
like, do
did.
they study the kid in the first movie? Like, that's kind of...
Or will they have like... No, they won't. Because it's not like the TV movie It, where they'll ever flash back to the kids. Unless they do. Like, I feel like the kids have to be involved at some point in time, right?
Maybe like one scene.
Yeah.
What's the name of the one who kills himself? The kid who of the group.
Oh, Stan.
He stinks. He's the only one that will not need like a known actor to play him in the movie, because he's gonna fucking kill himself.
Yeah. Unless it was somebody like huge, like they got like Matt Damon to do it
for like 2 scenes.
Yeah, he'd do that.
I doubt
he did it for Thor.
That was more of a comedy thing.
He also did it for Interstellar.
No, he was in it way longer than that. He was in the movie for like a good half hour. He had like an act dedicated to his planet.
Yeah. I don't know.
And I'd rather see him not play Stan. Stan fucking sucks.
They'd have to get a Jew, because Stanley is a Jew.
Yeah, exactly. He sucks. That's not why.
Whoa.
That's not why. That's not why.
Welcome back to the anti-Semitic podcast.
That came out wrong.
It's like D in the Trial of the Century. It's like,
you are a Jew.
You're a liar because you're Jewish. Oh wow, that came out wrong. I didn't mean to put the emphasis on the Jew.
Nor did I, but it came out.
Emphasis on the lying part.
Stan stinks.
Jesus Christ.
I think Stan sucks. And not because he's Jewish, but because he's a coward. But, yeah, this is great casting.
Yeah.
And if these are the names that are attached with Jessica Chastain, you already got some star power, and you're presumably going to get more. I really want Chris Pratt to play the fat kid.
Ben?
Yeah, because Chris Pratt, former fat guy.
Right. Yeah, that'll work. I mean, there's a lot of things. Or, like, you know, if they go away from the star-studded thing, like, they could just get a bunch of, like, unknown...
Yeah, either way it would
Well,
work.
yeah,
Because it's an ensemble movie.
Right. So having too much star power could like distract from the plot, but I don't know. We don't know that either. So we're just speculating here.
It's just cool that the first movie was so successful that this one's getting so much hype, and that doesn't really, even with the Conjuring, the second Conjuring, it didn't have this much hype around it. It was the first one was great.
Yeah. Second Conjuring wasn't that good.
I thought it was pretty scary.
I didn't really like it as much as the first one.
Well, the first one was better. I thought it was still, in terms of horror sequels, a superior horror sequel.
I guess, yeah. It did its job for a sequel because it wasn't like the same exact movie.
No, they went to London, and it definitely had some scary parts with the nun.
Yeah.
It was just for me, what didn't, and the old guy, he was creepy in his chair. But let's not break down The Conjuring.
Yeah.
We're excited for It Chapter 2 because it's more than just a horror movie. It's a good drama as well.
Right. All right, on to the next thing. We got a couple of trailers to talk about coming up here. Earlier this week, a Han Solo, a Star Wars movie trailer dropped, and a few TV spots alongside of it. Still slated for Memorial Day again and again, like... you may differ from me, but the more and more these trailers and TV spots come out, the more and more I'm getting excited for this. I mean, like, you can go back to earlier episodes of the show, you can hear me rip on this movie, but ever since they've actually started to, you know, put content out and like promote this movie, like I've become more and more excited. Again, when you talk about trailers, it doesn't guarantee the film's going to be good, so we still have to go and see Solo on Memorial Day. But I'm excited. In this trailer, you get more Lando, you get more Han and Chewie banter, you get a little bit more of what Woody Harrelson's character is doing, and Emilia Clarke, and I want that flirting to not be existent because the only woman good enough for Han Solo is Leia.
I think we're gonna see. I'm actually interested in that. I've actually kind of liked the banter. I thought it was cool, and the best part about this trailer is when Lando says "baby."
Yeah,
I was like, that's Lando.
There's a second Wookiee. There's a second Wookiee in a Star Wars movie for the first time since Revenge of the Sith, when there was a whole army of Wookiees. But Chewbacca might have like a daughter or a son or a wife or something like that. And then we also find out that Chewie is 190 years old at this point in time.
So I didn't like that. That's just me being nitpicky. But I like this trailer. I did.
Yeah.
I didn't say anything when I watched it on the couch earlier, but everything so far, I think the visuals look cool, and I think it will be fun. And I kind of was sitting there thinking too, I'm like, well, this really all this has to do is it has to be better than Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones, right? So it looks like it will be. It looks like we'll have some fun. But the one thing that I remain really hesitant on is, even from every single line he's delivered, Alden Ehrenreich is not Han Solo, and he is not Harrison Ford. And it's, for me, that's a big thing because
Han's your favorite character.
Well, Han's my favorite character, and the movie's about Han Solo.
Right.
If this movie was about Lando, I'd be like, this movie looks fucking awesome.
Yeah.
But he is the main character, so we'll have to wait and see in actually the movie, because they're hiding a lot of him talking, it seems like. You don't really get a lot of lines from him. So we'll see, but I'm really hesitant on him. But everything else about it looks like it'll be fun. Like the whole train shooting sequence, the shootout, that looked awesome.
I'm kind of excited to see, like like Chewie and Lando as main characters as well. I mean, like the
Definitely
movie's
Lando.
gonna be about Han, and Alden Ehrenreich is gonna have like the performance of his life if he wants to continue acting, basically. Like
Yeah.
if
Hayden
you
Christensen situation.
right, like if you screw up Han Solo, you're done. Like Hayden Christensen kind of ruined Anakin Skywalker for everybody, and even like a good movie like Revenge of the Sith couldn't save his acting career. He was just the bad acting, bad line reading Anakin Skywalker. So if this happens for Alden Ehrenreich, then he could not work again after this. But Donald Glover just looks fantastic as Lando. He's wearing his gold clothes. He's piloting the Falcon with that robot droid guy, and then Chewie and Han banter just seems like it's going to be great because they're still learning about each other. They're gonna meet in this movie, so I'm excited to hear some of that banter that turns into like one of the most iconic movie friendships of all time. So, there's a lot to be excited for, but then there's also a lot to be hesitant about. But I think either way, it's going to be an entertaining Star Wars film. I don't think you can say it's not going to be.
One thing I'm also hesitant about is Woody Harrelson is one of a kind, but he doesn't look like he gives a shit in this movie.
I already don't give a shit about his character. Like
he looks like he's phoning it in.
Yeah, I just want as much Han, Lando, and Chewie as possible, and like less of Emilia Clarke, even though she's stunning and she'll probably be like one of the best actors in this movie. And Woody Harrelson,
He looks like he's just phoning it in.
go without. Yeah,
like it looks like he's sitting there and he's like, "Oh, I just got nominated for an Oscar for 3 billboards. I'll collect the paycheck."
Yeah. Excited for Han, Lando, and Chewie. All right, well, that's the Solo trailer. Check it out if you haven't already. A new TV spot aired yesterday, and it had AWOL Nation's run as the background, and that's pretty cool for a Star Wars movie to have like.
Well, actually, the
AWOL
music in
Nation
all the
song in
trailers has been pretty
They're
cool.
very funky space soundtracks. Yeah. All right. Another trailer dropped yesterday. It was, or the day before, Saturday. It was another Incredibles 2 trailer. This one's being titled the official trailer, though the one before it was just a teaser, I guess. But a lot more plot details in this one. You get to see the state of the family again, what Mr. Incredible's doing, being a stay-at-home dad. You get some of the kids just fighting, and he's struggling taking care of Jack, whose powers are developing. And Mrs. Incredible's out saving the world against new villains and other new stuff, and then you get more Frozone and Ed Mode, just kind of callbacks to the original, but with new stuff. It looks great.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not much more you can say about it. But Mike and I were talking before the show, like Incredibles 2 kind of has to be good. Like it's probably the most anticipated Pixar film ever, other than like Toy Story 3, because people have been waiting for this movie for 14 years.
Especially people our age. It's like big with like the millennials.
Yeah, the huge thing right now, like on social media, is that like kids around our age are going to be the first ones in the theater to see this. There's just basically like an open threat to younger kids to just stay away from the theater the first like weekend that it's open, because the theater's gonna be full of kids our age.
Now, what was the villain in the first one? Syndrome?
Yeah.
He is amazing.
He is a great villain. He's voiced by Jason Lee.
Yeah. And I think this movie's going to be good, but they have a big void to fill in the villain department because he was part of the reason the first one was so good. And his death is brutal. He gets sucked into a plane engine by his cape.
Yeah. And the new villain, Mike and I have a theory about Bob Odenkirk's character, who we see. He's kind of like a government agent.
His voice is too great to not make it like a villain.
Right,
voice.
And he's talking about how Mrs. Incredible should be like the only one that kind of comes back into being the hero business. Like, she's a good face to have as the heroes kind of phase back into society. the new villain at the end of the trailer. I didn't hear the villain's name. I think the villain says it, but they've got these like goggles on that look like they're hypnosis goggles or something.
And they're like hiding their identity.
Yeah, and I think it's Bob Odenkirk. But it's him and Isabella Rossellini, right? Mm-hmm. Are like the brother and sister. It seems like they have like or husband and wife. That they seem like they're gonna be like the villainous duo. And then in the poster alongside this trailer, there's also images of new heroes that are coming back or whatever.
Yeah, the trailer didn't show a lot about the conflict. It showed like a lot about what Mr. Incredible is going through at home, which is gonna be cool. It's gonna be funny to see that and the roles change.
Mm-hmm. And Frozone's wife once again steals the show at the very end of the trailer. And if they just keep that running gag going and we don't see her face and she's just that yelling voice in the background, then they're doing their job once again and they're making everybody happy. Because I think her lines in the first Incredibles is like just great writing, and it's very funny, and it's just one of the scenes that sticks with people forever. Is where's my super suit and. This is for the greater good, woman. I am your wife. I am the greatest good you are ever going to get. So if there's just more of that between Frozone and his wife, that'd be great too. But be excited. This movie comes out second week of June. So, you know.
It's going to be good.
Yeah, go check out the trailer and check out that poster and try and, debunk things yourself and let us know what you think about the Incredibles trailer, the Solo trailer, or any of the news we talked about. But to get into our next topic, these recurring segments just keep on recurring. Oh, God, I'm already getting sick of it, but we got to keep going.
What, the joke?
Going with the joke, yeah.
You're the only one who feels that requirement.
I know. But there's like no other way to introduce it.
Just say, it's time for our recurring topic.
Yeah, that's... I don't know. All right. We're doing Would You Rathers this week. So let's roll through them. I'll start. Would you rather have toothpaste not work or deodorant not work?
Ooh.
This is a tough one, right?
I'm going to go with deodorant because you can't talk to someone if your breath stinks.
Yeah.
Like people are like, Jesus, this kid's disgusting.
Yeah.
And if there's an odor and you're in a room full of people, it's not 100% it's you.
And
yeah, you need to talk to people. I'm going to go with no deodorant, even though that is disgusting. Do I get to wash my pits in the shower?
Okay, so here's the assumed things about it. Mouthwash doesn't work either. But when you are in the shower, you can wash. And I'd say that like you can kind of you can clean your teeth, but like you can't get rid of the smell.
Yeah, I'm going to go with no deodorant.
And you can clean your body, but you don't necessarily get rid of like the smell. I mean, if you're sitting in like a hot classroom for an hour, then you're gonna stink and you're gonna sweat.
Yeah, I deodorant stuff.
I'm going deodorant too, but this one like isn't a no-brainer. You know, like you really have to think about it because at some points in time your breath is gonna stink. You go out on a date and you're eating like like steak and onions, like your breath is gonna stink, but but you can smell nice with like a cologne.
Yeah, but no one wants to suck face with the kid with smelly breath.
But just in general, talking to people or kissing or whatever, like you need good breath.
Yeah.
So, if you gotta be Mr. B.O. for a little bit, then you gotta go deodorant not work because you need your teeth and your breath to smell fine. So yeah, no deodorant there. You want to go back and forth?
Oh, I don't have as many as you do.
That's all right.
So
go back and forth for however long that you have.
Would you rather be a vegan for the rest of your life or a carnivore for just another month and then you die?
Carnivore for another month and then I die.
Yeah. I'm not being a vegan.
Once again, we have to mention the Clint Nooner way of life. Clint Nooner has a heart condition. He's a mutual friend of mine and Mike's. He has a heart condition. He went and saw a medical professional who has a diploma on the wall.
Yeah.
And he said, I would rather die the way I eat than live the way you eat. And that is something I like to live by. And if I only had a month left to live, I am going to just eat as much meat and whatnot as I can and just live my life to the fullest in that last month, because I would not just do a big switch over to solely greens and like gross, like
gay
dry fish.
Yeah.
And whatever those vegans
They don't eat fish.
Some do, right? Or no?
I think that's like
Yeah,
a form of
sushi. The vegans eat sushi.
I don't think so.
Yeah, they do. I know a vegan.
Yeah, but there's different kinds of vegans.
No, there's different kinds of vegetarians. I think vegans are just like...
I don't think vegans eat sushi. I hate vegans, so I need to look this up. Here we go. Health. We're getting into veganism isn't a new concept, blah blah blah. Tell me what they eat. Tell me what these things eat. Yeah, there's different types.
Oh.
There's dietary vegans, whole food vegans, junk food vegans. Oh, that's like vegan meats and stuff. Raw food vegans, low fat. Yeah, there's different kinds. That's what I thought.
I didn't know there were different kinds.
Yeah, there's the ones that only eat like fucking like what rabbits eat, and then there's the ones that eat different stuff. This is a anti-vegan podcast, and Dan and I would never be a vegan,
No.
And so we are both going with carnivores and then dropping dead.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Would you rather have your choices be made by other people or have all your choices be made by a randomizer button?
The randomizer would be pretty fun.
But you hit the randomizer button and you're destined to, flip burgers at McDonald's. But somebody could also make you flip burgers at McDonald's.
Yeah, but if you hang out with the wrong crowd, you're going to get into a bad situation with people telling you what to do as well.
Right.
The randomizer want to be fun. It'd be a life of adventure. I don't like people telling me what to do.
It's like, I think I'm going randomizer button too. But you can get really lucky with the randomizer button, or you can get screwed with the randomizer button. Like, I feel like if you just hang out with good people, like, you'll be fine with the other people thing. I mean, I don't like people telling me what to do either. But, like, I don't, like, hang out with people who tell me what to do.
Isn't that the point of the thing, though? Like, people have to tell you what to do because you can't make your own decisions.
Well, yeah. Randomizer button.
Yeah. I
just hope I'm lucky with the randomizer button.
Yeah, and you're gonna get lucky and you're gonna get screwed. That's the it is nonpartisan.
But like, I mean, teachers tell you what to do, and your boss tells you what to do. I mean, like, if my best friend like tells me to like go to the store, I'll go to the store. Or like if my parents tell me to like, I don't know, because then like if say you're like walking to go get lunch or something, and then like you just run into a random stranger on the street, and then they tell you to go to hell, then you have to go to hell.
So the worst thing to do with would you rathers is get specific. Keeping them broad is what keeps them stable, because every single one can be picked apart.
Yeah. I don't know. I think part of the fun is picking it apart. But, yeah, randomizer button's probably better there. What's your next one?
Would you rather live in the prehistoric era with, like, fucking dinosaurs and shit and saber-toothed tigers, or the zombie apocalypse? Either way, getting food is not that easy.
No, but there's more food in the prehistoric era. The only thing is
Yeah,
like the only
that's
thing
true.
is you have to make a weapon out of sticks and rocks, and there's cold-blooded killers around every corner.
More people in the zombie apocalypse too, probably.
Yeah.
Actually, no. Let's scratch that and just say that you are solely the guy. 'Cause that evens the playing field a bit.
Well, to go back to last week,
Hmm.
I'm on the high ground, and hopefully I'm close to some resources. Is this like
I
the?
don't see how the high ground pertains in this situation.
Because we talked about the zombie apocalypse
Oh,
last
right,
week.
right,
Yeah,
right,
so
right,
I'm living on my high ground,
right.
and hopefully it's like the zombie apocalypse where like it doesn't affect animals. So like maybe I have like a gun or a
Yeah, yeah.
crossbow
In
to like
this situation, you can like eat.
to hunt
You
something.
can eat like deer and shit.
Yeah,
I think I'd go with the apocalypse. That'd be
because
cool
there's
to
just
live
more
in.
access. There's better weapons to hunt with.
Yeah,
And you could actually defend yourself. I mean, like if you're not a craftsman and you're back in prehistoric times, like I mean, you might be able to survive, but I mean, you're gonna be fighting off raptors and T Rexes with a stick.
yeah. You're gonna lose against a pack of raptors.
Yeah.
Those things are dangerous. Did you hear that someone said it's been like said for a long time, but Tyrannosaurus Rexes might have been just scavengers.
Yeah, I heard they're
That's
not
pretty
as like
cool.
ferocious as
Yeah.
history has made them.
They're just big.
They also couldn't roar. Do you know that? They
Yeah.
also apparently like barked like puppies or something like that. Like they just didn't have. They were big, and they were carnivores, but like they kind of like allowed other. Yeah, they were scavengers, and they weren't really that menacing. But raptors were killers.
They're the modern day wolves. They're awesome.
Yeah, they're killers.
Well, they're like wolves now. But yeah, they fuck you up. They were so fast. They had like cheetah speed and they were fucking huge. Those things are cool, man.
It's crazy that dinosaurs existed, dude.
Well,
Like
yeah.
they're gigantic lizard dragon things. Like how like those
Yeah.
existed.
I love too in Jurassic Park how they make the raptors the adversary in the first one.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it kind of got redundant after that, but in the first one, they're so terrifying when they're just killing
Well,
everyone.
that
They're
those
like the one thing we can't do is let these fuckers out of here.
that scene in like the kitchen with the
Yeah.
kids and the raptor, like oh my god, that's terrifying. That's a great scene, and like to set up those raptors as the villain, yeah, wouldn't survive in prehistoric times.
No. Wouldn't survive in either one, but you get the high ground in the
No, but
zombie
you get the high
apocalypse.
ground and you get better weapons
Yeah.
and advancements of technology in the modern zombie apocalypse. So I think that's the better choice there. But if you're some sort of craftsman, you might be
You
better
do well.
in the prehistoric era. We'll see. Would you rather make any imaginary thing real by drawing it, or make anything real disappear by drawing it and then erasing it?
Make anything real by drawing it or make anything disappear that's real.
By drawing it and then erasing it.
So it's just like I don't like somebody, I draw them and erase them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go with make something real because I could make like lightsabers in a galaxy far, far away real. So that's an easy one. My imagination would run wild with that.
Now, like you think like, if you draw like your own debt and erase it, then like you won't have debt anymore.
Yeah.
Or like
that's a fix.
if you draw like
But you could draw a fortune for yourself.
yeah, you become rich either way. It's just kind of like I feel like you have more creative possibilities with what you could draw than extending the bounds of like real life. Because it'd be kind of cool to draw like I don't know, because if you're just like screwing around, like everybody draws swastikas in their notes, and then they turn them into windows so it doesn't look like they were drawn swastikas. Like everybody's done that,
Yeah.
It's such an interesting symbol to draw.
Yeah.
Here we are continuing the
Anti-Sem-
anti-Semitic
yeah.
podcast. But like, if you draw a swastika and erase it, then World War II doesn't happen.
You need that though.
Yeah.
You can't change history.
Right.
That would get too fucked up with drawing and erasing things.
Right. Like if you drew like Abraham Lincoln and erased him, slavery still exists.
Yeah, it might.
Oh, man, yeah, there's a lot of things you could screw up by doing that. Just like, because say you're in history class, like I'm victim to this. Like it's sometimes in history class, like I draw like little characters next to the notes. Like one time I drew Karl Marx. Like what if I erased Karl Marx from history? Well, that actually wouldn't be that bad of a thing.
Still though,
but
I think
still,
everything that's necessary. I think everything that happened in history kind of happened for a reason.
It's necessary. It's learning lessons for the future.
As bad as it gets.
Yeah. And so but you could just draw money and you'd get it. Yeah. And
I need a 20.
You could draw like the Mach 5 and then that's your car. You could draw
flying DeLorean would be cool.
Yeah. And like how many Deathly Hallows symbols and lightsabers and stuff have I drawn in my notes before?
Oh, you'd be walking around with a wand and a lightsaber
and keyblades. Like, I mean, I've doodled so much. Like, I keep old notebooks kind of just to see the doodles that I've drawn in my history. Like, I still have notebooks from like grade school in my archives.
Like, could you imagine if Voldemort like learned the Force? And let's get super nerdy here and I'm thinking of combining the universes and Voldemort has like a red lightsaber with the Elder Wand and he knows the Force and he can summon magic tricks and stuff. That'd be so badass.
That'd be nuts.
Yeah.
And we think, okay, so Avada Kedavra is the unblockable spell. Could a lightsaber block Avada Kedavra?
Like I think so.
If Harry's Expelliarmus can, then I'm going to go ahead and say a lightsaber could block Avada Kedavra.
Yeah, I think so. But that's not to say, it's like blaster fire.
Right.
It can hit its mark.
Yeah. And, like Sheev against Voldemort or Darth Vader against Voldemort.
Yeah. See, we're getting so nerdy. It's
like
awesome.
Harry Potter versus Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
That's a different conversation for another day. I actually want to think about what happens.
There's a lot going on there.
Did you have any more to switch back to?
What was the one you just asked?
Make any imaginary thing real by drawing it.
That was a good
make
one.
any real thing.
All right, my last one is... This is where my mind's been at. Would you rather be a Death Eater or be a member of the Galactic Empire?
The Death Eaters are such a limited, like, evil group, and I feel like,
It's pristine, though, right? Kind of.
Yeah, and you're pristine. Actually, no, because there are a few wizards who are, like, a member of, like, the 13 pure-blooded families or whatever, but a lot of, like, wizards would have been wiped out completely if they didn't become half-bloods and, like, mate with muggles. Like, even Voldemort's a half-blood.
Right.
So, like, but once Voldemort dies, they get all the Death Eaters. Like, they all go to jail, or, like, they're dead or whatever.
Well, I'm talking, like, they're succeeding. Because the Galactic Empire fails as well.
But they grow into the First Order. And whatever happens after that, like you could be.
I'm not saying
if you start being bad in the Star Wars universe, like you're a part of the Separatists, and then if you survive the Separatists, then you become a Stormtrooper, and if you survive that, then you could be into the First Order.
I'm speaking more in general terms, like you don't know the outcome. Let's just say you're in that universe.
Just generally, okay, original trilogy, 7 Harry Potter books. You're either a Death Eater or you're a Stormtrooper.
Yeah. Or you could be an Imperial officer.
Death Trooper officer, yeah. Death Eaters are on the run. Stormtroopers are not. I think I like being a part of somebody who's like not set, like, I mean, the Empire would be so cool to be a part of. And I've even said, like, if Elon Musk becomes like the next Sheev, I'd be a stormtrooper for him. But I just kind of like the anarchy that is the Death Eaters, like you're just apparating across like the British Isle, and you can just stop in no wizard's home and kill him and then get the hell out of there. And like stormtroopers, like you're set.
You're limited as well. You only have a blast.
You got to go to meetings. Like you might get force choked by Darth Vader. You might get
killed by Voldemort.
You might get shocked by Sheev. Like you might like be in battle and you might get blasted by Han Solo or sliced in half by Luke Skywalker. Like there's a lot of bad things that can happen to you as a stormtrooper.
I'd be a great Imperial dickhead.
You'd want to be an officer.
Yeah, I'd be a great officer, and I like see Krennic's position, not in terms politically with how he's looked at by everyone, but I'd say like his position of like just walking around with death troopers and bossing people around would be awesome.
Wearing his white cape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd wear an all black outfit with a black cape.
I think it's just like, there's so much fear. Like, is the Empire driven out of fear, like the Death Eaters are? Because I feel like the Death Eaters,
because Vader like kills people if they screw up.
But there's also like look at the government, like they're finally throwing over that corrupt republic.
Oh,
like people might have joined the Empire because they think it was a good thing.
Right. Well, she gave that speech at the end of 3.
And Iden Versio and her parents, like people are people are applauding the Empire. Some people think it's a good thing. Death Eaters are not a good thing, and like Death Eaters kind of joined out of fear of death, like, and they serve Voldemort out of fear, not out of loyalty.
Yeah.
Except for Bellatrix. Bellatrix, I think, is the only loyal Death Eater.
Yeah, she's awesome. She is a great secondary antagonist.
Malfoys are soft, and the Carrows.
There's a few good ones.
There's a few loyals, but like a lot of the Death Eaters are just there out of fear.
Yeah.
Or they're snatchers that got paid by Voldemort.
We could have a podcast just about this.
Just Harry Potter, Star Wars. Good God. I think I'm going Death Eater. Just because there's a little bit more like freedom there, but like there's more loyalty in the Empire than there is in the Death Eaters. I'd like the freedom, but I wouldn't like the fear of the Death Eaters.
I'd love to just be like, not one of the officers who's like on the space station with Darth. I'd love to be one who's just like controlling a planet. Just kind of like I'm like the count.
You're just like on
Naboo,
and you're like if there's any sort of like rebel uprising, like you're the one who's just like kept the capital. Yeah, that'd be cool. All right. Would you rather talk to animals or be able to speak every known language?
Being like fully linguistic would be awesome.
Yeah.
I think I'd go with definitely with being able to speak every language. The possibilities are pretty endless, and I actually think if everyone was able to do that, then that the world as a whole would be a lot more peaceful. Because I think language barriers are a lot of the things that hold us back.
It's a very adult answer of you. Let me go with the childish one. I mean, yeah, it'd be really cool to be able to speak every language. You'd go everywhere and you'd ever understand anybody, and there wouldn't be... You'd also be able to like go into like Asian restaurants and be able to hear when they insult you, and then you'd speak to them in their own language and insult them. But if you could talk to animals, like if you accidentally step on your dog's tail and you say like, "Oh my God, I'm sorry," like they don't understand apologies. Like they think you stepped on their tail on purpose. So being able to tell your dog that you're sorry for stepping on their tail and having them understand it'd be cool. But like Also, if you were in the wild and you were like a grizzly bear thinks that you're about to like kill its kids and you just say like, "No, I'm sorry for stumbling on your land. I'm going to leave it. I mean no harm. I mean peace here," then you don't get mauled by a bear.
Yeah, you would have no fear walking around. Although you'd still run into some dicks.
I'm sure.
Like this bear's like, "Oh, I don't mean to be here." He's like, "I don't fucking care. You look delicious." And
Yeah. Like sharks in the water. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of hard to think about.
Yeah. But like, you're either the Rosetta Stone or you like live in Finding Nemo world.
Yeah.
Or you're just Dr. Dolittle. Basically, you're just Eddie Murphy. I don't know. I think I'm going to talk to animals. I feel like that's just on a day-to-day basis. That's like more of like a usable thing. I mean, like how often are you going over to like Russia anyway? Actually, you shouldn't answer that.
If you could be fully, I'm saying though, if like I had the power to speak every language, like I would not just be an asshole and like sit at home. I would actually like use that ability.
You could also insult people in different languages.
Yeah.
Like, and they wouldn't be able to understand you.
That's exactly what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that one's more beneficial, but I think talking to animals is something cool. You'd speak parcel tongue.
Well, you would just speak to snakes. You wouldn't speak parcel tongue.
You could kind of say you're speaking parcel tongue.
Yeah,
like you could get the snake to like understand you, and you could be
and you could speak it that way.
Yeah.
Or you're like making those noises, and the snake's like, "What are you fucking doing?"
It's like that's racist.
It's like speaking like Asian.
All right. Would you rather save the lives of 1,000 starving African children or have a fantasy weapon come to life?
Wait. Ask it again.
Would you rather save the lives of 1,000 starving African children or have a fantasy weapon come to life?
See, I gave a mature answer with the language thing. That's because I didn't think talking to animals was like overly cool. But I'll tell you what is overly cool: is having a fantasy weapon.
Fucking lightsaber.
I'm going with the fantasy weapon.
You gotta choose the lightsaber in that situation.
Or a wand.
Or the elder one.
Or a wand.
Oh my god.
There's a lot of things you could do.
Yeah.
I mean, you can dive deeper and deeper into the fantasy weapons.
Like, you could have Sting. You could have Thor's Mjolnir.
Yeah. You could have the Infinity
Gauntlet.
The Infinity Gauntlet.
You could have Cap's shield.
Yeah, I'm going with the.
You could have Spider-Man's web shooters. Like, oh my god, you could have so many things. Like, yeah, I'm going with that. I'm sorry to the starving kids, but like, just starve knowing that I have a lightsaber. You know, like that's pretty cool.
I can put you out of your misery pretty quickly.
Jesus Christ, yeah, like the Sand People in episode 2.
I didn't want to say it, but that's what I was thinking of.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we're both.
Yeah, we're on the same page. It's fantasy weapon.
I think any normal self-centered person would think that way.
Right.
Yeah.
Come on, I mean, everybody. Like, I think you're kind of an asshole if you're like, save them.
You could have like the pistol from Blade Runner. That thing's badass too.
You could have Han Solo's pistol. You could have Chewie's bowcaster.
Jesus Christ. Yeah. You can't miss a deer with that thing.
No.
Take its head off. Now I'm just thinking about
all the weapons you could have rather than save 1,000 starving African children.
Oh, you could have like the...
You could have the Death Star.
You could have like the outfit Predator wears.
Ugh. So like would Iron Man's suit count?
Yeah.
Oh. You could have Iron Man. You could be Iron Man.
You could be Iron Man. Yeah. And you could save more lives.
Right.
I've always said I think Rhodey's costume is cooler.
I like when he was Iron Patriot.
And I like when he
When
has
he was red, white, and
the
blue.
machine
Like, yeah,
gun
that's
on
cool.
the shoulder too. I
Yeah.
think that's cool.
You could have
You could be the Black Panther.
you could be Black Panther.
Well, the White Panther.
Yeah.
So we're going with.
You could have the Death Star and you just blow up Earth. You wouldn't have to worry about.
Yeah, that beats a lightsaber.
Yeah. Yeah, a lightsaber would be cool. Definitely choosing any fantasy. If you keep
You could literally be Sheev if you could use the Death Star.
his lightning hands.
That, but you said you've always wanted to be Sheev as
Yeah.
well and just sit in your chair.
Oh, but I'd have to choose one or the other. Lightning hands or the Death Star. I think I go lightning hands.
Either way.
Yeah, I'm going lightning hands.
We have gotten so off topic.
All right, here's the last one. Here's the last would you rather. Would you rather have 100 really close and reliable friends or $10?
Well, you said really close and reliable. I think that's a no-brainer.
Yeah, but
It's the
100 of
friends.
them.
Yeah, cool. Whatever. That doesn't mean you have to see them constantly. Yeah, definitely going. Connections is awesome. Then you have a big funeral, a lot of friends, never lonely.
I'm very content with having like 6 or 7 really close and reliable friends. So in the situation, I choose $10 because I have my 6 or
I
7
don't
really
see
close
that
and
at
reliable friends because I don't want to deal with 100 really.
You don't have
close
to
and
see
reliable
them or talk
friends.
to them. That's not the
Well,
stipulation.
you have to know you have to be friends. Like you can't be acquaintances. Like you have to catch up with them every day, like or every like week. 100.
Well, that's different than just having like really close. That's I feel like an added thing.
Really close. No, really close and reliable is like a constant, like active relationship and friendship.
I guess
And like 100 people.
it's a lot.
Yeah,
A lot of connections.
it is. And that's not a bad thing to have. But like, I'm good with the friends I've got. I don't need like everybody being reliable. If everybody was reliable, you'd be friends with everybody. So I'm taking $10 because I'm happy with the friends that I have.
10 is such a small amount of money.
Yeah, I know, but you and a friend could have lunch.
Yeah. Even that might not do it.
Yeah.
All right. That was the last one?
Yeah. All right. All right. Those were the Would You Rathers for this week. If you liked any of those, reply in our comments section. And let us know what you would pick in any of those hypothetical Would You Rathers. And then on iTunes, you can leave us a 5-star review because we're 5-star men, and you can comment as there and let us know. And then YouTube and
We spent like almost that entire section just talking about Star
Wars or Harry Potter. That's right.
It's great.
All right, let's move on to our movie review. This week we saw Isle of Dogs, directed by Wes Andersen, who you might know from Moonrise Kingdom and the Grand Budapest Hotel. The plot reads, a young boy travels to the solitary garbage island of dogs to find his dog after a political law bans dogs from Japan. There's a lot of dogs in this movie. This movie stars Bryan Cranston, Koyu Rankin, Edward Norton, Greta Gerwig, Jeff Goldblum, Bill Murray, and a hell of a lot more that'd be way too much to list. But let's start off with the positives. Mike, what'd you like about Isle of Dogs?
In typical Wes Anderson style, it's got that pace to it that a Wes Anderson movie has, where it's just every scene is somehow engaging, whether it's nonsense or not. It's just something interesting is happening. So that's my first positive. My second one is the stop motion and environments that the characters go to in this movie, and the characters themselves all look fantastic. Mm-hmm. The animation was really, really cool. And I'm not a guy I don't even think ever seen a stop motion movie. Maybe. I really off the top of my head I can't remember one, but it was something
Yeah, like
really.
all the Wallace and Gromit movies are.
Oh, yeah, okay. Then I have. But it looked great. It was highly entertaining every scene to see all that. And my other really big positive was I really liked Bryan Cranston as the dog Chief,
Mm-hmm.
which is the main character. And I was really watching this movie, and with you don't really think this in animated movies, but I'm sitting there and I'm going, Bryan Cranston is the only person who should have played this character. His
Yeah.
voice just fit so perfectly because it just had that grit to it. So, yeah, I really enjoyed his character the most. And I'll get more to the negatives, but as a whole, this movie was it was a fun adventure, and you could tell it had the prints of a really good auteur involved.
Yeah, and I'm gonna go off that. Like, just another stamp in Wes Anderson's auteur, career. This movie is without a doubt a Wes Anderson film, and I just love the environments he builds and the camera work that he does. You always feel just like, you're watching like. Just like a little Nickelodeon, just one frame at a time, like, and it's just gorgeous. There's just a story in every scene, and it's great. It's his movies are always very pretty to look at, and
His use of
and
colors is really what makes him
right,
who he is.
and just his scene build up is great, and I love that, and this movie is just once again another stamp in Wes Anderson's auteur book because it's just a pretty movie to look at. The voice cast was awesome. I mean, there's just a lot of stars in this one. I mean, obviously Bryan Cranston was the big one. He's my favorite character from the film as well. But our guy Jeff Goldblum, his voice, he was the funniest character in the movie. He was so funny. He just keeps hearing these dog rumors and he keeps bringing them up. It's really
I heard this rumor.
it's really so funny. And then at one point in the film, they ask him like, "Where do you keep hearing these rumors?" It's really funny, and Jeff Goldblum was great in it. Kind of kept the plot light, and once again, like just Wes Anderson's dialogue really keeps you into the film, and it's quick, it's witty, it's snappy, and it tells you the story, and you're able to understand it, and you're also able to have a laugh as well. And I just like Wes Anderson's take on the boy and a dog film. It was a different motive. It was a stop motion animated film, but it's about a boy and a dog, and I think he did a really good, twist on that, and made a really enjoyable film. And considering that it's from like the viewpoint of dogs, and the a lot of the human dialogue in the film is just in Japanese with no subtitles either. Like, you only occasionally get the words that are spoken if there's a translator on the screen, or if there's like a poster, they'll give you like what it says in English sometimes. And I thought that was very clever of him. I enjoyed being not able to understand everything, and I thought that was just another unique spin on the film that I actually enjoyed.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to negatives.
So, with a lot of Wes Anderson movies, what make them so great is the characters and how he's able to usually use a wide variety of actors and like he's always able to get them just enough screen time where it's like that worked so well. Like I think of Willem Dafoe in Grand Budapest Hotel as like that was the perfect use of Willem Dafoe. In this movie, I think he fell victim to it a little bit because he had so much voice talent that I think the movie had too many characters for an animated movie. Mm-hmm. It's just there was too much going on at points, and I thought in turn it made the plot meander at times to where I just was like, okay, who's this one? Who's this one? Oh, I really don't care about this one. Get back to those guys. And then at a certain point, my favorite, I wouldn't spoil it, but my favorite group of characters in the movie somewhat become obsolete. And I didn't understand why he chose to do that. And he started focusing on different plot devices. And it kind of took me out of it at points to where I kind of after the movie had to sit back and be like, wow, that was a lot thrown at me. What did I like and what didn't I like? I wasn't able to just process it immediately. So I thought that to me, it felt like a passion project for him. Mm-hmm. And sometimes with passion projects, the director gets lost in the movie a little bit. And I think that Wes Anderson fell victim to it. And I hold him a little more accountable because guys like him, Spielberg, Tarantino, Scorsese, I hold on this pedestal to where I'm like, if they screw up in a way they shouldn't, I'm going to really hold it against them. And I think Wes Anderson did that at times in this movie to where the plot just felt convoluted. And I think he's a strong enough writer that shouldn't be happening.
Right. I agree with you for the most part. For an animated film, it's very crowded. And a Wes Anderson film always has a bunch of stars, and whether they're on the screen for 2 minutes or the entire movie, their presence affects the plot, and that isn't the case for this film. And a lot of characters are introduced, and not all of them go anywhere. In terms of they're affecting the story, and that's a little upsetting. Because it does feel overcrowded with characters. Like you get introduced to a love interest, and then she goes away for the entire movie, basically. Scarlett Johansson's dog. That's not that much of a spoiler. That Scarlett Johansson. I was like,
was the character really needed?
Right. You know? Scarlett Johansson is a talented actress, and I felt like she was underutilized a little bit, and that's the same case for a lot of others, like Harvey Keitel, who's a constant face in Wes Anderson films. He has a character introduced, and he has like one scene of dialogue, and that's it. And it was so overcrowded with these characters when they got introduced, and then their stories didn't really wrap up. It kind of felt, incomplete at some points in time. And I respect all the work that went into this movie. I mean, there are like 860 shots, and it took them almost like nearly 2 years just to film it. I mean, there's a lot of stuff to go in it, but I feel like the plot falls victim to that, because I feel like they had to edit the writing while they were like shooting the stop motion stuff, and some lines might have gotten cut or whatever, or whatever. I feel like some of the plot of the film and the characters' development fell victim to the process.
It's like a montage at the end of the movie isn't going to convince me that every storyline resolved.
Right.
And that's what it kind of tried to do, and I'm like, that doesn't work. You disappeared from that storyline halfway through, dude.
Yeah. And I mean, I mentioned as a positive Jeff Goldblum being funny. There's a lot of funny moments in this movie. It's a Wes Anderson film. There's not going to not be like awkward, dark comedy. And there certainly was in this film. But there wasn't enough, honestly. Like I was a little disappointed with the lack of comedy in this film. It's supposed to be a heartfelt... Jesus, I don't know what that noise was. It's supposed to be a heartfelt, like, boy and a dog film, and it achieves that. But, like, I mean, think of, like, the Royal Tenenbaums or the Grand Budapest Hotel, where even though Royal Tenenbaums is about a broken family, it's still really funny.
Yeah.
And Grand Budapest is about a scheming piece of shit and
megalomaniac,
and his relationship with a boy, and it's hilarious. And I feel like even though this was a topic about like political empirical overlooking and there could have been a lot more comedy than there was. Not saying the movie's not funny at all, because there's still that snappy Wes Anderson dialogue that has jokes. It's just not as funny as his past movies, and that was a little upsetting for me. But it's fine.
This at the same time too. Almost every Wes Anderson movie I come out seeing, there's always a character that's like an icon after it. Like Royal Tenenbaum and Monsieur Gustave are like just amazing characters in film. Wild Chief was great, and Bryan Cranston was a perfect guy to voice him. I didn't feel like this movie had a Monsieur Gustav or a Royal Tenenbaum in it, to where it's just like, this person is so ridiculous that they're amazing. And I know he was maybe trying for something different, but what he does so well with his movies are his goofy characters, and I don't think this movie had too many, and it didn't allow him to focus on the good ones.
I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Monsieur Gustav is like my spirit animal. I love that.
Yeah, and I've said Royal Tenenbaum is mine.
He's just great characters, and it's upsetting that Isle of Dogs kind of didn't have that iconic character. Though their ensemble is great, just some storylines don't get finished off, and it's not as funny as Wes Anderson films in the past, but it's still a heartwarming story about a boy and his dog. And it's still an enjoyable watch. It's a good Wes Anderson movie, just not his best, but certainly not his worst. So I liked it better than Fantastic Mr. Fox.
Yeah.
But although Fantastic Mr. Fox, I'd say, is funnier, just not as good of a plot. But all right, let's rate this guy. You got a score?
All in all, the movie is fun. Yeah. It has some adult humor in it, and I think it's very accessible to people who are looking for something new. But I do think the story has too much going on. So I'm at a 3 out of 5. It was fun, but it stands as a bit of a disappointment because I was super excited for this movie since Wes Anderson was doing it. We didn't comment on it. The score in this movie is amazing.
Yeah, it is.
Holy shit, is it
great. There's just whistles. It's
so diverse.
There's like a pop punk undertone with like old, like kind of Japanese, woodwind instruments with whistles and stuff like that. But yeah, it is a beautiful score, and it's definitely one I'm going to study to in the future.
Yeah,
because it was awesome.
Yeah, it's some good songs too. I didn't want to miss that, but yeah, I'm at a 3 out of 5.
Okay, I'm at a 3.5 out of 5, and that's a 3.3. That's a 3.3 Goldblums if we're rounding up. So we're giving Wes Anderson's Isle of Dogs a 3.3 out of 5 Goldblums. That's our score. Jeff Goldblum was in this movie, so I think the only place he could have fit in was where he was. He was perfectly funny and odd, and
he should have been in it more.
You knew it was Jeff Goldblum. Yeah, and I agree. He should have been in it more. But like the first time he spoke in the film, like my theater laughed because it was Jeff Goldblum. It was great. But yeah, I mean he was the funniest character in the film, and if he had more screen time and they kind of wrapped up his and Bill Murray's and Ed Norton's storylines. But who's the other guy?
I can't think off the top of my head.
Yeah. It's whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was underutilized, but overcrowded. But that's all right. Jeff Goldblum was still funny, and as a Jeff Goldblum, as a pro Jeff Goldblum podcast, we were happy with Jeff Goldblum's performance in Isle of Dogs. But that's our score, 3.3 out of 5 Goldblums. Check out Isle of Dogs. Let us know what you thought of it. If you agree with us, let us know. If you disagree with us, let us know. And comments and social media and stuff like that. But go see it. It's an entertaining Wes Anderson film. You'll laugh and you'll feel something for your dog afterwards. Now let's get into our main topic. No movie topic this week, but it's a big week in sports, and Mike and I have been kind of just, easing into it. Like being able to actually have time to pay attention to the end of season and professional sports. The playoffs are starting this week. I mean, baseball season started a couple weeks ago. The NFL draft is next week, but right now the NBA and the NHL playoffs are kicking into gear. And this entire time we've recorded this podcast, we've had the Celtics and the Bucks game 1 going on for the NBA. And we've seen we saw some blowouts in the NBA playoffs on Saturday, and
two good games, 2 blowouts.
Yeah, and that wasn't as fun. But what do you think about the NBA playoffs so far?
After seeing the Warriors play against the Spurs, I did have some questions going in about how people are like, oh, the Warriors without Steph Curry aren't the Warriors. True to an extent. Maybe they can't win it all because they did say he will be back at some point in time.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Durant and Klay Thompson and Draymond Green are not going to allow themselves to lose in the first round. They came out swinging, and they looked fantastic versus the Spurs yesterday. I expect them to get that series done in 4 or 5 games.
Yeah.
And once Curry's back, I really have a hard time with all their playoff experience. Houston's had a great season. I know they're the 1 seed, but I don't see them taking down the Warriors. I just see this as their time of the year, and I think they're just going to start feeling it out. They've been here before, they're experienced, and I think by the end, we're probably going to see them in the finals and probably taking it home. And out of the East, people are saying the Cavs have a cakewalk, which could be true, but people also have to realize the Cavs have kind of stunk this year. They're in 4th, so that's not saying they probably will win the series, every series they're in, but
Toronto
they could
looked
get
really
worn
good
out.
last night. Toronto broke a 10 game 10-game losing streak in game 1 of the first round last night.
I actually think Philly poses the biggest threat to Cleveland.
Philly looked great too.
I think Embiid is coming back in a couple of games.
Mm-hmm.
Ben Simmons is the next best point guard in this league. I mean, he is fantastic. Everyone's saying that he looks like a young Magic Johnson. He really does with how he runs the court. He's incredible. And so I think they're playing hot right now. I think they really do have a shot at giving Cleveland a great series.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see. But I think it's ultimately going to be another Cavs and Warriors finals, and I think the Warriors will take it home. But the Cavs have a shot at losing. Like, people aren't realizing that they have just not been consistent this year. And I know LeBron brings it in the playoffs, but he can lose a couple games here and there, and he has played all 82 games this year. Like, he could get worn out. You really don't know. So, yeah, I expect that to take place. But the series as a whole, just they look very competitive, and I think a lot of teams are going to have to struggle to get there. It's been a very competitive year in the NBA.
I think the most exciting playoff series, which I wasn't expecting to be, but the Pelicans and the Blazers played last night, and the Blazers were down like 15 with 5 minutes left, and that game came down to the wire.
Yeah.
And it was an incredible game to watch. You've got the Pelicans minus DeMarcus Cousins with just Anthony Davis leading the charge there, while
he's so good.
Damian Lillard, CJ McCollum didn't have a really good game last night for Portland, but he'll figure out his stroke pretty soon. But Damian Lillard led the charge last night, and I think out of the first night of the NBA playoffs, like, I'm most excited for the first round series of the Pelicans and Blazers if it continues exactly the way it did in game 1.
Yeah, and people forget that that is a 3 versus a 6 seed, Portland being the 3 seed and the Pelicans being the whatever. But the Western Conference, Portland's the 3 seed. They have 49 wins. The 8 seed is the Timberwolves, who have 47. Yeah. That's how competitive the Western Conference playoffs are going to be. Everyone is just razor close, except for Houston and the Warriors. I think they'll take care of business. But when you're talking the Jazz and Thunder series, there's some good ones out there. And the East, I just think, is so sporadic. You really don't know who's going to get the hot hand. And right now, 76ers coming into the playoffs have a hot hand. So that's why I'm looking out for them. But I totally expect Golden State to win again. I know not everyone's saying that, but that's what I see happening.
Toronto looks better than they have in the past, but again, I really don't know what to expect. Unfortunately, I mean, Boston's got a really gritty team. They've got very talented young players, but I don't think they win the championship without Kyrie or Gordon Hayward. It's just not going to happen. But they'll fight their way. They're
like 2 years away.
I think they'll make it past Milwaukee. Despite Milwaukee being a very talented team, I think Boston can make it past Milwaukee. But we'll have to see what happens in the second round for them if they make it there. Philly's awesome. They'll only get better with Embiid coming back. Markel Fultz has been playing great. Ben Simmons is great. So that's a young, fun team to watch, and it's great to see the Philadelphia 76ers in the playoffs and doing well. Like you said, West is very competitive. That'll be fun. But first night of the NBA playoffs, you know, there was a lot of fun things to look at. But here in the second day, we don't know what'll happen. Houston and Timberwolves play tonight. Houston should be fine against the Timberwolves, but like a bunch of old Bulls players and their coach Tom Thibodeau are on the Timberwolves. Like I'm gonna be rooting for the Timberwolves, even though I know they're not gonna beat Houston. I'm gonna root for the Timberwolves just because they're the Timber Bulls. Can't root against Taj Gibson, Jimmy Butler, Derrick Rose, and Tom Thibodeau. It just can't happen.
If they get a win, it'll be like game 3.
Yeah.
It's probably going to be like a 4 or 5 game
They're
series.
first at home. Yeah. If they can make it competitive, just kind of shock Houston a little bit, that'd be fun. Because they play lights out when Jimmy Butler's in. Their record is way better with Jimmy Butler than it was without when he was out with injury. So that could be an exciting series, but Houston is the best team in the NBA right now, record wise, and they've really shown it talent wise as well. So we'll just see what happens there. But it should be fun. We're recording this on Sunday morning, so the only game we have as of today is right now. It's the third quarter for Milwaukee and Boston, so we don't know how the games are going to turn out tonight. But really looking forward to that Thunder Jazz series. But to flip the switch on professional sports playoffs, I've been watching Stanley Cup playoffs. It doesn't look like the Boston Bruins are ever going to lose a game ever again. But Tampa Bay Lightning have a very talented team. They're the 1 seed in the East right now for their playoffs, and they've taken care of business so far. So have the Pittsburgh Penguins, who have won it. No. Philadelphia beat them last night. So there's some competitive hockey going on in the Western Conference. Big win for San Jose Sharks last night, who took a 2-0 lead on the Anaheim Ducks. But there's a lot of exciting hockey. If you're not a hockey fan and you watch playoff hockey, you understand the stakes. Like, you could know nothing about the teams, you could know nothing about the players, but you understand the competitiveness of playoff hockey if you just watch the game. And it's been pretty fun watching those games, but there have been a lot of blowouts. There hasn't been a lot of some of the middle seed teams, they've been playing some good hockey. Like the Nashville Colorado series has been a great series to watch. A lot of goal scoring in that one, not a lot of goal saving. But Toronto looks bad against Boston, which I'm fine with, but I thought Toronto would be a little bit more competitive. But we'll see what happens when the series change a little bit, and some teams are going to other cities now, so we'll kind of see what happens. But if you're not a hockey fan, I'll stress this again. If you watch playoff hockey, it's probably the most competitive playoff sports get at a professional level is the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs. You just really see teams battle it out, and there's always a storyline in every game. If there isn't a competitiveness or whatever, there always is. People are hitting, they're playing. It's always fun. Brad Marchand of the Boston Bruins even kissed another player because he was getting up in his face. Kissed him on the cheek to get him the fuck away.
That's funny.
Yeah. Well, he's a piece of shit, but he's a scrappy player. You have anything to comment about the Stanley Cup?
I really wish I did, but I don't want to just take up time and bullshit and pretend like I know what I'm talking about. I just know that playoff time, the only person everyone wants to see lose is Sidney Crosby.
Yeah, fuck that guy. I hate the Penguins, and
he's fantastic.
He is a great player. I could watch him skate all day, but I hate him, and I hate the Penguins winning. They've won 2 Stanley Cups in a row, so I hope they don't win 3. They shouldn't. Tampa Bay and Boston are really great teams, so I don't think Pittsburgh will make it out of the East. But
did Ovechkin make the playoffs?
Yes.
He's gonna lose again, isn't he?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. So you're picking Boston?
I'm picking Boston. If Yeah, Minnesota looks bad. The I'm picking Boston. I don't.
You're going Homer.
It's either Boston or Tampa Bay. They've been consistently the two best teams in hockey all season long, and Boston and Tampa Bay have really shown it in their first two games of their series. They've just blown their teams away, so they look good, and it should be exciting whenever they meet in the playoffs, because I think it's going to happen, and they should close out their series and get Sidney Crosby the hell out of the playoffs, and that should be interesting. So, kind of similarly to how the West is very competitive in basketball, the East is competitive in hockey, but Toronto hasn't looked that way at all. So it's whatever. But again, tune in, and if not, baseball's back. You can watch the Red Sox be the best team in the MLB. And if you're a Mets fan, you can be happy for now, but by June they'll figure out how to lose like the Mets only know how to do. And the Yankees suck. That's very fun. And so do the Cubs. That's also kind of fun.
That's great.
Yeah.
I love when the Cubs suck.
Yeah. But I don't know. There's a long baseball season to go. NHL, NBA are wrapping up. NFL draft is next week. So get excited. Get excited. Sports is fun. Watch sports.
2 weeks.
2 weeks, right. It's the 26th.
Yeah, it's next week.
So next week
for
to
us,
the
it's
listeners.
because it's Sunday.
Yeah, it's on the 26th. So you can watch that. Joe Stuglis will be in town.
Oh, yeah.
It's Mike's dad. He listens to this podcast.
Big guy. Yeah. Big time listener.
Huge Joe.
So.
All right. Let's wrap that up. We're excited as sports fans. We don't get to talk about sports a lot on this podcast, but with we didn't really know what kind of main topic to pull out, but we got a nice little NBA conversation. You got my thoughts on the NHL playoffs, and it's an exciting time for sports. So check those out if you got nothing going on tonight or the night after or whatever. But Mike, you got any last words for the people before I close out here?
I usually do the what are we seeing next week thing, and I don't have it pulled up. So let me do that right now. Well,
once again, Avengers is a week away.
Nothing really good.
Well, it'll be 2 episodes from now, but 1 week for us.
I'm not seeing Super Troopers 2.
No.
I didn't even like the first one. I think we should go see Rampage.
Yeah. I thought we were seeing Rampage this week, so I was getting ready to see Rampage. I didn't know we were seeing Isle of Dogs until Friday, and I texted you.
Apparently that John Hamm, Rosamund Pike movie, Beirut's pretty good. But I don't know if that has a wide theater release. Oh, it's at Regal. No. Anyway.
Whatever, we'll figure it out. You guys will just have to come back and listen.
Yeah? For episode 60?
Yeah, episode 60 next week. 59's an odd number.
Yeah, it's kind of an ugly number.
But it's actually an odd number.
Yeah.
58's an even number, and so is 60.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You could switch that for the whatever numbers come after that.
All right, but that about wraps it up for this week. Like we said earlier on, let us know in our comment sections on YouTube, SoundCloud, and iTunes. On iTunes, you can rate us 5 stars. We're 5-star men. Let us know what you thought of our news topics, if you have any input there, our would you rathers, or if you have any other random discussion topic that you'd like to hear us talk about, please let us know. If you agreed with us on our review of Isle of Dogs, or you didn't, or if you disagreed with us, let us know that as well. Just please show some support. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, SoundCloud, iTunes, YouTube. We're on all of them, so please check us out there and show some support. Thanks again for listening, and as always, we love you guys. What if God was one of us? Just a slob like